Welcome, people of Earth, to a different kind of Pokemon video. I released two videos today, and this one is actually going to just be me grinding. And while I'm grinding, I'm going to give my thoughts on since this is this is a Pokemon playthrough where I talk about Power Rangers and Doctor Who. I'm going to talk about the Peter Capaldi era, specifically of Doctor Who, because I just finished it. And as a result, I kind of want to talk about it. I kind of want to get my opinions out there. Maybe people care, but I also sometimes I just like talking about something, and it helps me bring resolution to it, especially if it was something I really liked. And spoilers, I really liked the Peter Capaldi era of Doctor Who. So we're just gonna grind it out. If you do not care about this video, then this is perfectly skippable. I don't blame you if you wanna skip it. Just know that by the next time you see this, my Pokemon will be leveled a hopefully decent amount, but no promises. So without further ado, spoilers incoming. So, I tried watching this I tried watching his era when it first came out. Uh-oh. No, thank you, phone. I tried watching the Peter Capaldi era when it first started airing, and I watched his first two episodes, and I stopped. And at the time, I think I thought that I stopped because he was abrasive, or he was rude, or mean, or whatever. Kind of a dick. But now that I've rewatched it almost 10 years later, I don't have that same opinion anymore. And especially starting those first couple episodes again, I found myself laughing. And I've heard a lot of people say, like, oh, he's kind of rude, he's kind of a curmudgeon in the early days, and he kind of is, but he's still got that sarcasm that I absolutely love. I don't know how to describe it, like, the person that matters most to him is him at first, and he's just kind of, especially like the way he treats Danny in that first season. It's just like, on one hand, it's like, yeah, you're kind of being a dick, but on the other hand, it's like, you don't like soldiers. I kind of get it. I don't agree with you, but I get where you're coming from. But overall, that first season, I was expecting to hate the entirety of the Peter Capaldi era first of all. And I kind of do hate the Peter Capaldi era, honestly. But I don't hate Peter Capaldi as the Doctor. I think he's one of the best Doctors. So, first season, the first episode was a good start. It wasn't great. Then we had the episode where they went into the Dalek, which is literally called Into the Dalek. That one was slog. And again, when those are your first two episodes, I can kind of see why I wasn't as into it back in the day, because they weren't the greatest two episodes. And if we're being honest, the third episode wasn't amazing either, because the third episode was the Robin Hood episode. And I've heard people loved that episode. Good for you. And I'm always about a nice standalone episode, but it didn't really do a whole lot for me. The fourth episode, though, is what really kind of grabbed me as a Peter Capaldi fan, because while he was stealing the show in his first three episodes, Listen, which is the fourth one, is one of my all-time favorites of the entire series. And I know it doesn't completely make sense, because by the end of the season, Danny's dead, so how does he have this line of descendants? You know, especially this line of descendants that is allegedly connected to Clara. That didn't really make a whole lot of sense, but in a vacuum, I felt like Listen was a great episode. And was just like, okay, I want to see where this goes. I want to see, like, even this idea that the whole reason he's had the same dream as everybody else is because Clara grabbed his leg when he was a kid. I don't, it doesn't bother me. The barn didn't bother me. I kind of dug seeing the young doctor. While I'm sure there's a lot of people who had a problem with that, but I was kind of into it. And that he has the same fears as everybody else, and they weren't fighting something this time. It was just there was a thing. You know, maybe it's an idea, maybe it's an actual manifestation, but you don't really know, and it's not really your place to fully understand. I loved Listen. Especially loved the opening monologue of Listen. Time Heist was a weird one. It was a fun one. It fell apart at the end, to me specifically. Like, I'm like, okay. It's like when you get to the end of Hush, the Batman comic, and all the mystery gets unraveled, and you're like, I don't know if I would have gone with that, but okay. But leading up to that final reveal, the Time Heist was actually a lot of fun. Caretaker was another great episode. And yeah, again, the doctor was being a dick. I'm sorry, he shouldn't have been. He should have known better. But he was. I especially liked there was a line in that episode where it's a throwaway joke, and I'm such a sucker for River Song that any mention of River Song kind of gets me giddy. But the line where Clara says, you can't be left alone. You need somebody to talk to. And he's like, well, I once lived with otters for 12 days, and I didn't have anybody to talk to then. And he like kind of offhandedly mentions, he's like, well, River did kick me out of the TARDIS, so like it's kind of cute to know that they are a married couple. Like, sometimes they squabble. They're just a goofy couple, and they're not gonna always get along. Anyway, it was just a throwaway joke, but I still appreciated it. Kill the Moon. Oh, Kill the Moon was so laughably bad. Because I don't care if they've said that episode wasn't about abortion. I don't care what side of the argument you're on. That episode wanted to just be like, hey, we're gonna make an episode that's about abortion, and we're gonna say nothing. We're gonna agree with everyone and no one at the same time. And it's like, what the fuck? And then it's like, the abortion issue is solved when another pregnant person shows up, and you're like, huh? How does that make sense? The whole episode was just, it was so non-committal in its pursuit of being political It's laughably bad. Kill the Moon is one of the worst episodes. Like, you get to a point where the Doctor literally just, like, and again, if you don't think that episode is politically driven, and they say that it's not politically driven, there's so much dialogue in it that is, like, the Doctor just up and disappearing and being like, nope, I'll let the 3 women decide. It's like, okay. Again, you can't tell me that this isn't about abortion, because clearly it is. Like, don't sit and lie to me. Like, no. This was a sci-fi story. It's like, no, it's not. It's not. You're oh my god. Kill the Moon was a bad episode. And it's especially bad because it doesn't try and say something. Like, or it thinks it's saying something and it's not. It's like, no. Abortion is bad, but abortion is good. Because everyone gets to make the decision. But I don't feel like anybody should make the decision. But I feel like you should kill the baby. But I feel like you shouldn't kill the baby. Like, there's a dragon on the moon. Destroy it. But I don't want you to destroy it. Okay? I don't... And I'm gonna make the decision. But I'm not gonna make the decision. I'm gonna give it to the women. Like... Are you... What statement about abortion are you trying to make? Because it doesn't make any sense. Because even if the statement you were trying to make was, this is a touchy subject, then maybe don't make an episode about it. Like, I don't know. It felt like parody. It didn't feel like commentary. Mummy on the Orient Express was a really fun one. My thing for this and the rest of the season was, like, I didn't understand why Clara felt the need to lie to Danny about her spending time with the Doctor. Because, one, that kind of lie would have made sense if she was, like, in a relationship with the Doctor. Like, a romantic relationship. Like, okay, she's cheating on Danny, right? But she's not. And the other thing is, like, it was her decision to stop hanging out with the Doctor. Danny didn't force that on her. So I'm like, why are you lying to Danny? Danny didn't do anything. This isn't Danny's fault. Like, it's not like he told, oh, you need to choose him or me. No, Danny never did that. Like, you picked. This was all you. So that's kind of a weird reoccurring problem throughout the rest of the season. I don't even remember what Flatline was. In the Forest of the Night, this is another laughably bad episode. Like, the whole Earth is being covered by plants, right? To protect the Earth from this really bad solar flare. That's not the part that didn't work for me. The part that didn't work for me was, you've got this girl who's... They've kind of hinted at maybe she's special needs. And she can talk to the plants. And it's like, well, that's not how people with special needs work. They're not... They don't communicate with plants. And she's... Her sister went missing. It's not explained how or why. And then her sister just randomly comes back at the end. The episode keeps showing you, like, all this growth for these characters, for these kids. Like, and, like, showing you, you know, oh, you know, how much being around Danny and Clara has affected these kids, and, like, it's made them better people, and they're gonna be model citizens one day. The problem with that is, we'd never seen these kids before. And Clara being a teacher is about to become incredibly irrelevant to the story. So why are you showing me this? I don't need this. Like, it goes like everything about this episode goes nowhere. Like if the sister reappearing meant something for the story, like it turned out as part of Missy's evil plot at the end of the season, that would have made that maybe you could have made that make sense, but it didn't. It had nothing to do with anything. So that was really, really weird. Then you get to the final two-parter where Danny gets hit by a car, which I get that in a show where there's all these fantastic elements constantly, you do need some kind of realism. But they did something similar in Vampire Diaries, where Caroline's mom gets cancer, and they just kind of like, well, we can do something about this. We can fix you, and it's like, well, no, you can't. I'm gonna die. And it's this thing that you see coming for a couple episodes, and it kind of shows that even with all their abilities, they still can't just prevent death. That's not how that works. As much as they would love to. And sometimes there's inevitable, and sometimes you have to have these people around you have to pass away. Nobody's immortal except for the vampires. So it kind of worked to have her get cancer. To have Danny Pink die of a car accident, was so out of left field. And you're just like, but why? Why did Danny have to die like a chump? You know, he could have gone on an adventure and been killed. So why did Danny have to pass away? And even putting a little bow on his and Clara's relationship by the end of the series, or by the end of the season, having this moment where he says his goodbyes and then lets the kid live. It's really nice. It was really sad. I felt bad. I actually liked Danny throughout the entire show, which kind of made the Doctor being a dick to him hurt a little bit, because like, this guy doesn't really deserve it, Doctor. But even everything Danny was doing at the end to help the Doctor and Clara as a Cyberman was dope. It was really well done. I liked it a lot. And to see Unit come back for that final episode, for the final two-parter, was really, really interesting. I was excited. I thought that was a great way to end this season, and I couldn't wait to see where things were gonna go. And when the season ends, and you know, you can tell that the Doctor's a little worried about Clara, especially when you get to the Christmas special where she's willing to sacrifice herself to be with the dream version of Danny, not even the real version of Danny. You can tell that the Doctor's worried about her. The problem is when the second season of Peter Capaldi's Doctor pops up, throughout it, Clara's just on a suicide path. Like, she thinks she's the Doctor, she's acting like the Doctor out of nowhere. And I wondered, like, oh, is this gonna, like, if she thinks she's the Doctor, maybe she thinks she can save Danny. And it doesn't go anywhere. Like, it just gets her killed. Like, it gets her killed in Punish the Raven? Or am I getting it confused with a gacha game? I'm thinking of Punishing Grey Raven. Face the Raven. The episode's called Face the Raven. And so it was like, well, why is she becoming progressively more crazy? The second season of Peter Capaldi's era was so fucking rough, in my opinion. I couldn't. I had a hard time getting through it. So, like, the first two-parter where they team up with Missy to go take on Davros and the Daleks. I loved it. I loved both episodes. If you think about it too hard, it doesn't really work. But as a fun big battle, big way to open the season, establish some stuff with Davros, it was good. It was really good. Then you get the Under the Lake two-parter. Under the Lake Before the Flood. I hated that shit. I was so fucking bored. I didn't care. I didn't want it revealed. I didn't want to know what was going on. I didn't want to know about the monster. I just wanted it to be done. I wanted to be just done and over with. I didn't care. There were some aspects of it where I felt like it was just like, well, A Quiet Place did this better. So that was just disappointing. The A Shielder 2 episodes, I guess they're not a two-parter, but it felt like a two-parter. Those 2 episodes were okay. They weren't amazing, they weren't terrible, but they were just okay. And then the Zygon Invasion / Zygon Inversion two-parter. I felt like I could have mentally cared more going into it, had it not been in the middle of the season. If it was at the end, if this was like the season finale, maybe I would have expected the stakes to get raised and, oh, maybe Clara's not going to make it out of here. Maybe the Doctor's not going to make it out of here. But it's in the middle of the season. I'm like, yeah, I know that everybody's going to live. Like, somehow everybody's going to survive, and that's not what you're going for. So I had that. I didn't care the entire time. I just, no, I'm good. Sleep No More. Oh, man. There were parts where I just felt like Sleep No More. Uh-oh. Oh, buddy. Look at you. We need you. We need you, friend. Don't kill him. Alright, hold on. Alright. Sleep No More was this episode that just felt rough. Like, I felt like I was missing pieces as the episode was going on. And... oh no, he's dead. Damn it. I'm sorry, Zubat. I shouldn't have done that either. I don't know why I did. Ace wants to learn Double Team. Alright, hold on. Let's get rid of Growl. So yeah, even when it ended, it ended so suddenly, and the villain being like, oh, you can't unsee this. Like, oh my god. This is stupid. Go away. Go away. Maybe you scared some children, don't get me wrong. But you just annoyed me. Like, that's all I felt. Face the Raven was another one where it was just like... I felt like they brought back that one guy whose name I'm completely blanking on. Nope. Not that. Nope. Not that. I'm pressing buttons on my phone and it's all going to shit. They brought back the guy from the episode where he was a painter, or he was painting. He was not a painter. He was doing community service. They brought him back, like there was gonna be some big reveal, or this episode was gonna matter. They brought back a Shielder, like this episode was gonna matter, and it's this big end for Clara. and it gets erased 2 episodes later. And, like, I didn't even care. That's another thing. I didn't even care that Clara was gonna die. I'm like, okay, go. Be gone. You want to be? Then be gone. To quote Space Jam. Like, I was so done with Clara by this point. I'm like, you're suicidal. You're a nutcase, and there's no reason for you to be. You're a self-serving little bitch, and I don't care. And she gets to live. She gets to live with a shielder. It doesn't matter. These 2 characters just disappear into the world, and it's just like, all right, get the fuck out, please. Can you just? Can we get a good companion, please, please? Then we got the Husbands of River Song, which I saw it when it first came out, actually. So I said I only watched the first 2 episodes. I did see the Husbands of River Song, because River Song is one of my favorite characters in all of fiction, let alone Doctor Who. So I saw it at the time, and I remember at the time I was very disappointed. Because the episode was good, but you get to the end, and you know, this is supposed to be her last moment, right? They're on fuck, I know the name of that planet. Cause I've seen Silence in the Library so many times. I know this. They're on that planet, and they're going to have this final dinner that you've known about since Silence in the Library. And he goes to give her her sonic screwdriver, and you know that this is supposed to be it. This is supposed to be like this final moment, right? And Beryllium, that's what it is. You know that this is supposed to be her final moment, and he at the very end of the episode, he says, this is going to last 24 years. And I remember rolling my eyes when I saw that episode the first time. I'm like, so this just means you're going to keep River Song around. This is your excuse to keep River Song around. And, you know, not commit to her death right now. So you can just keep using her. It would have been better if you just hadn't said that. It hadn't brought us to Beryllium. And little did I know now, that River Song doesn't come back after that episode. So that wasn't for the audience. That wasn't to keep bringing her around. That was for her and the Doctor. That line was just for them. Because throughout all of season 10? Season 9? What is it? Bill's season. Season 10. Throughout all of that season, there's a lot of little things where they keep bringing up River Song, or little references to her, and little references to the fact that they lived together for 24 years. It gets brought up in the Return of Dr. Mysterio, which was a great episode. You know, at the very end, Nardole explains, hey, he was married, he was in love for 24 years, and she had to go. And, you know, even when he's talking to Bill, and he's like not entirely sure if it's a good idea to make her the companion, he looks at that picture of River, and he's like, alright, she would have wanted me to do this, so I'm gonna do this. You know, it gets brought up right before, you know, the execution of Missy. They're like, well, we need to kill her. And Nardole basically walks up and goes, yeah, but would your wife like this? And he has to be like, no, she wouldn't. And so he ends up, instead of, you know, killing Missy, he locks her away for a while. And I mean, it's little things like that. Even at the end of the season, or at the end of at the very end of the show, Twice Upon a Time, you even see him lose his wedding ring. So clearly throughout the entire season, or like the entire show, the entire Peter Capaldi run, River means a lot to him. So that really kind of like got me in the feels quite a bit. Everything with Bill, that entire final season, I'm gonna be coming back to that season for rewatches constantly. Because unlike Peter Capaldi's first few seasons, where I don't feel like Stephen Moffat, I feel like Stephen Moffat was really into Clara and making Clara this big fucking deal to himself. Bill gets to have a personality that isn't very one-dimensional, and she doesn't try to be the greatest thing in the world. Even when she thinks she's saving the world, she's actually hurting it. Like, she's trying, but she's not as arrogant about it as Clara was. But the entirety of the Bill season, you know, the pilot was amazing. Smile, the fucking planet where, you know, your emotions are regulated. Damn, that was scary. That was a good one. That was a really scary one. It felt a little derivative of The Girl Who Waited, a little bit, but not, you know, not like a complete copycat. It felt like it was doing its own thing. Thin Ice was fun. The whole Monk trilogy was just like, even doing things like Extremis, where Extremis felt like it should have been, you know, it was all a dream. You know, Biggie Smalls was there, but it wasn't, because that dream actually mattered. Because that dream happened, the Doctor was able to affect things. Now, that doesn't mean that the Doctor won. But it did mean that by having a dream, by having this simulation, it all works out in the end, or it was able to affect things outside of the dream. It wasn't just about, you know, that one Nicolas Cage movie where Nicolas Cage, it turns out he was dreaming the entire time, and none of the world never ended and all that shit. It's like, no, don't do that shit. Whereas Extremis was like, okay, the Doctor's gonna learn from this simulation, this dream, and make it work. Even though he can't see, which I thought was kind of cool. Empress of Mars, I thought was gonna be the first big stumbling block for that season, because I'm like, oh god, the Ice Warriors are back. I don't want this at all. And lo and behold, I really dug it. I really dug the idea of having this, you know, this guy who was a traitor to his country trying to redeem himself, and was able to redeem himself through the Ice Warriors, and not have the Ice Warriors just murder everybody. There was one dickhead. That didn't mean everybody needed to die. The two-parter, the final two-parter, World Enough in Time and The Doctor Falls, was just like, I don't know, man. I had a rough time. Not in a bad way towards the episode. It was just like, not only is this coming to an end, but Bill is not human by the end of it. And she's not just not human one way. She's not human two ways. Because first she gets converted into a Cyberman, which was like, I didn't see that coming. I'm like, damn, you literally could not save her. You literally got her turned into a Cyberman. You could not save your girl. That's fucked. Oh man. And then she in order to save her, she gets turned into one of those water creatures, the same as Heather from the pilot. And as a result, they get to live together in harmony. And it was just like, I felt so bad for Bill. I felt really bad for Bill. And even like seeing that Missy actually become a good guy at the end, and it wasn't all a ruse for once. She literally did have a change of heart, only for it to get her killed. I really dug that. I really liked seeing that, seeing what she had become. The final special. The final special, Twice Upon a Time. I teared up a couple times through the episode. I'm not gonna lie. When you got towards the end, and the cuddle, the last cuddle, where it was Bill and Nardole and the doctor, and then they just disappear. I started to tear up a little bit. I was like, damn. You know, I wanted to see them all together. There's another thing. Nardole I thought was a really good companion. Bill was a great companion too. Bill was obviously the better of the two, but I still enjoyed Nardole. And especially like his bickering and what he thought was better than what the doctor thought. So it really became a really effective season for that. A couple other things. The fact that it wasn't all some evil plot was great. And getting that moment where they get in the they go to get back in the hole for World War I to continue, and the revelation that this is the Brigadier's I believe grandfather, or maybe it was his father. I don't remember. Was just kind of cool. I also loved that, like, there was this through line of just the whole Leftwich Stewart family throughout the entire show, like the entire Peter Capaldi run, because you got things like when the Cybermen attack at the end of the first season. Kate lives. Like, Kate should have been thrown from the plane and died, but then all of a sudden Kate's alive, and she's like, what is she saying? Oh, she's mumbling about her father. And they turn around and there's just one Cyberman who's just standing behind them, and then he salutes them. Was just kind of cool. It's like, okay, alright, the Brigadier's gotta go now. And you obviously had Kate throughout. She was effective in certain places, but not in all places. And then to have that moment at the very end with, we have an evolution. I wasn't expecting this. Let's check it out. Ace is evolving. Ace is evolving. Ace has evolved into a bigger Ace. Yay! Staravia. However you pronounce that. So it was a cool through line for the entire show to have just the whole family just keep coming back. I know that they'd wanted to use the Brigadier in like David Tennant and Christopher Eccleston's era, and they couldn't because of his health problems. But it was fun. It was fun to see them all come back, or in some cases the first time. But like I didn't think the whole show was perfect. I really latched on to Bill, and that was kind of the most. Oh, can we catch a Zubat? Because I've got a name. I got a name for Zubat. There we go. We caught a Zubat. Alright. Yep. Give it a Power Ranger's name. Master Swoop! Let's send him to the box for now. Actually, I didn't pay attention to gender. I just got a Zubat and went for it. But yeah, that's... I think that's it as far as my thoughts on the Peter Capaldi era. Great... Great Doctor. Not a great... not a great era, though. I felt like the episodes were really lacking. So, I'm moving on to the Jodie Whittaker era. And I'm going to see if it's as bad as people say. Because people talk about it like it is the worst thing to ever happen to the show. And we're going to find out. We're going to find out if it's just as bad as people say, or if it's just okay. I'm thinking it can't be nearly as god-awful as people are making it out to be. But I've been wrong before, so. On that note, I think I will leave you there. I hope you have a great day. And next time, I think we're going to be challenging for the gym badge, probably. Anyway, adios.